Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to the desktop for another retro RPG. And this week I would like to present this Shadowrun 2nd edition. This is the 1992 2nd edition of Shadowrun. It came out 3 years after the original book, and it revised a lot of things, because while 1st edition got a heck of a lot right out the door, the rules were pretty flawed. Things like burst fire didn't work at all. You used to roll for each individual bullet, so if you were firing a burst of 7 bullets, you got to roll 7 attacks, each one with descending number of dice, because it was getting more difficult. And it wasn't great. So once you got into automatic fire weapons, different people firing machine guns, combat really slowed down, especially with street samurai and things who had wired reflexes. So your mage wouldn't have enhanced reactions, and they would get to go once and cast a big blast spell. Whereas your street samurai would get multiple actions because they had wired reflexes, and then they'd get to roll 7 times for combat. So your street samurai were getting to attack like 21 times to your mage's 1 action. So it was a big problem. Now, they enhanced the auto-fire rules in the Rigger's Black Book, and that worked really well, so they rolled those in there. They'd also enhanced the magic system a lot with the release of the Grimoire, and introduced adepts, which enhanced the magic system a whole load. So these were rolled back into this book as well. So this kind of was a compilation of a lot of the bug fixes, but it also amped up the difficulty, because in 1st edition it was really easy to become incredibly tough and bulletproof. When you were rolling as a troll, you could get up to about sort of 25 dice to roll to make yourself pretty much indestructible to weapons. And, that was problematic, so they made combat a lot more deadly. They rolled all these different things in. But anyway, let's get onto the rulebook. Hi guys, I was in the middle of editing the Shadowrun 2nd edition video when I realised I hadn't talked about the wonderful cover, and I hadn't talked about some of the marketing that had gone on for Shadowrun 2nd edition. So I've decided to record this cut-in. We'll try and slide it into a relevant piece of the video and talk about the cover, which obviously is the same lovely piece of Larry Elmore artwork as the 1st edition. And basically it's very much a copy of the 1st edition. If I grab the 1st edition rulebook and bring it in, we can see the covers are very similar. Basically, the blue colour with the circuitry inlaid has been copied but changed to black with more prominent circuitry so you can really see it. They've added the metal effect round with the 2nd edition logo, and they've dropped the "Where Man Meets Magic and Machine" catchphrase off the front. But it still has the goat head with the circuitry through the scroll work with a big prominent Shadowrun S. And the Shadowrun S was very much used during the marketing, because when they were bringing out 2nd edition, it was 1992, Terminator 2 had just been out. Terminator 2 was obviously marketed under the T2 logo, or T2 title. Shadowrun 2nd edition was marketed under the S2 title. So you got adverts in role-playing magazines which were just this snake-headed S with 2 next to it, coming soon. And that was how they marketed the game. Bit of a mystery, but with the Shadowrun, so you knew it was there without mentioning the name, just S2. And I really like this cover. I prefer the 1st edition because obviously it was first, but it's a lovely piece of artwork, and the black really does make it stand out nicely. Now they've kind of kept the same thing going a bit, because if I bring in the 3rd edition here, we can see they've kept the black with the circuitry around it. They've kept the logo, although they've changed it to this italicized version. They lost Larry Elmore art to a far more generic piece, but they kept metal plating there. And then for 4th edition, if I bring that in, my very dusty copy of 4th edition, we can see they kept the S, but they relegated it to the background, so it's just Shadowrun. We've kept the 4th edition on there, we've lost the metal plate, and the circuitry is much more hidden again. But the original covers, I think, are absolutely great. The black really makes it stand out. It's a really nice glossy cover using some wonderful artwork. Let's flip over to the back cover. The world is changed, some say awakened. Magic has returned to the world, and elves, dwarves, orks and trolls have assumed their true forms. Creatures of the wild have changed as well, becoming things of myth and legend. And technology has changed people too. No longer mere flesh, many humans have turned to artificial enhancements called cyberware, and become more than human. Modern man is stronger, smarter and faster. In the world of 2053, when the megacorporations want something done, but don't want to dirty their hands, it's a Shadowrun they need, and you they come to. Though your existence is not listed in a governmental or corporate database, the demand for your services is high. You may be a decker sliding through the visualized databases of giant corporations, spiriting away the only thing of real value, information. Or perhaps you are a street samurai, an enforcer whose combat skills make you the ultimate urban predator. Or perhaps a magician with the ability to wield the magical energies that surround the earth. And that's the exact kind of firepower. That's exactly the kind of firepower you'll need to make a Shadowrun. Shadowrun 2nd Edition updates, revises and expands the popular Shadowrun game system. This new edition is fully compatible with most existing Shadowrun sourcebooks, adventures and characters. And it was pretty close. The rules were enhanced and simplified, but it was really easy to convert between the two, especially as in the back of the book there are these equipment tables with sourcebook updates. So absolutely everything in any of the sourcebooks it detailed. So we go through the Grimoire and it details all those. Paranormal Animals of North America, London, Virtual Realities, Rigger Black Book, Shadow Beat, Shadow Tech, and How to Update Adventures. It details all that, so you could just keep using your 1st edition stuff and go over using 2nd edition rules. A big plus. Flipping inside the book. It's lovely layout. It's obviously all black and white with some colour plates thrown in for decoration. But the artwork is really good. Faza was first class in their presentation at this point. Welcome to the Shadows. The year is 2053. So the original Shadowrun was set in 2050 and the Shadowrun calendar clocks forward with every year. So things happen in real time, which became a real big thing with the American election because they had an election running pretty much in real time in the Shadowrun universe, which was won by the media dragon, Dunkelsen. What else have we got? Change. So that's the sort of background information. And so it came to pass. The history, the rise of the megacorps, the 6th world, the Great Ghost Dance, Goblinization, the crash of 29 when all the computer networks crashed, new violence, independence fever, game concepts, so it goes through the ideas of role-playing and magic, meta-humanity. Now this is one thing I don't like. I thought the 1st edition, where it had the pictures of the different species in boxer shorts standing Vitruvian man style with their arms outreached, basically showing off the shapes of each. But in 2nd edition we've gone over just the pictures of generic dwarf, elf, human, orc and troll. And that's a bit boring. I much preferred them being naked or being in their boxer shorts, so you could think of them yourself. They didn't have to just always be, yeah, well, orcs look a bit mercenary-like. Elves tend to have tattoos. Creating a character. The rules how to create characters. And basically it's using the same system as 1st edition, where you would set your attributes to different ratings. So you would get either more attributes, more skill points, or more money. The different races have different things. So obviously elves, dwarves, trolls and orcs have infravision. We've got archetypes, so you can basically just take one and start playing. So we've got a human bodyguard there, a human combat mage, a decker. That's the same artwork from 1st edition, which I really did like. The elven decker. Again, 1st edition artwork. Former company man. Former wage mage. Gang member. Mercenary. Rigger, Shaman, Street Mage, the Street Samurai, Street Shaman, and Tribesman. The always deadly Tribesman, going to a Shadowrun with a bow and arrow. We've got skills, and they keep the skill web, which is something I really like. How by having a connected skill, so if you are good at computers, then you can use your computer skill to understand electronics. And you go through the skill web. So you go 1 dot, so it goes up 1 level of difficulty. Because you don't have electronic skill, but you've got an allied skill. And the thing we noticed is that in first edition, it all went back through read Japanese, which we always took to mean that all the instructions were in Japanese, and if you read them, you could understand how to drive a car or shoot a gun or hack a computer or whatever. But the skill web's there, so we can go through it, and from body, you can go all the way to athletics if your body is high enough, but you're going through 1, 2, 3, drop 3 levels of difficulty. Or maybe you can't go through that. The arrow's one way. Okay, so you can't go to athletics. You can only go from quickness through to armed combat, but you can use your strength or your body through to armed combat or unarmed combat. And intelligence webs in. It's a nice system. I do genuinely like that. We've got skill categories with concentrations, so you can take your biology and you can specialize in zoology, botany, medicine, parazoology, or parabotany. The skill tables, special languages. We've got the combat rules with initiative, movement, ranged combat. Let's flick through. Stray shots, shotguns with a spread. Carry on through. We've got the magic section. So, how people cast magic, and they introduced in the various adepts to this. So, you can become a shaman following a different animal and you get different advantages. You can be a full mage. You can be an adept. So, if you are an owl shaman, you get advantages, +2 dice for any sorcerer conjuring by night. Disadvantages, +2 to all target numbers, even non-magical ones when in direct sunlight. Hermetic, which are the ordinary mages. We've got adepts. So, you've got magical adepts, shamanic adepts, and physical adepts. Magical adepts, a mage can cast spells or they can summon spirits. A magical adept can only do one of those. So they can only summon spirits, or they can only cast spells. I tended to like playing sorcerer adepts, so they can only cast spells. Spirits weren't something I was ever bothered with. Shamanic adepts can only cast spells and summon spirits for their particular totem. So an owl spirit can only summon up spirits which are allied to owl, and cast spells which are allied to it. And physical adepts take magic and they channel it back into their body and they become tougher. Now, that was pruned down a bit from the Grimoire in first edition to weaken them down, but they're still pretty powerful. So they take their magic points, which tend to be 6 at the start, and they spend them out. Basically like cyberware and Street Samurai using their essence, which is the limit how much cyberware they can get fitted. But a physical adept will use their magic points. We've got sorcery, which explains how the different spells work. And we'll reach some colour plates. Have I skipped over any of those? Nope. 2053 Walkabout. All sales are final in the Grand Bazaar. Orc Artist in Paris. Yep, at Louvre, Paris. Absurdist Drama Wunderkrieg. Serious shopping at the Rinra Arcology, Seattle. There's a lot of German influence in this because Shadowrun really took off in Germany. Hidden camera photo of toxic shamans. They look like redneck shamans. Talking about revolution in Aztlan, the home of Aztechnology in South America. And Dances with Bears. and the Salish Redeem. Anyway, back to the magic section. We've got spell targeting, so people can attack spells while they're being cast. Restricted use spells, material links, how having something which belongs to a target can help you cast spells on them. Spirit foci and conjuring. We go through different things here. So spirit combat, astral space, the different types of elementals dealt with there. Astral combat. So you can actually send your spirit into astral space and you can fight spirits, and mages can separate from their bodies and go out scouting. So if you're going to break into a building, the mage can go in magically and see where people are. And we've got the spell directory, so different spells. Detection spells, health spells, illusion spells, manipulation spells, and the table of spells at the end there. We've got the Matrix, so not the Keanu Reeves movie, but the internet, basically. How it's laid out, how different nodes work, what different programs you use to break through ice and hack systems, different things on your cyberdecks, you can get them improved. And behind the scenes, we're into the sort of Game Master section, which tells you how to adjust a charisma for racism, where people don't like various races. Vehicle operation skills, knowledge skills. We go through different stuff, how to run NPCs. They've got threat ratings. So an average character will back out of combat as soon as they take a wound because they're not willing to keep fighting. Whereas people who are much more threatful, you know, devoted villains and that, will fight on till death. Lifestyles of the rich and shadowy, so different types of house you can have. You can live in a luxury condo, or you can live on the streets, depending on how much you're willing to spend every month. So we've got karma, which in 2nd edition was split into 2 types. You got your good karma and you got your karma pool. And in 1st edition, karma was just karma. You spent it to increase skills, or you can spend it to improve dice rolls during play. And basically nobody would waste it by spending it on dice rolls during play, unless they really needed to save their character. But to try and force people into doing that, they split it. So your karma pool you had, where you could roll dice to improve dice rolls, buy extra ones during play, and good karma was what you spent to improve skills. I seem to remember there was some kind of workout where you would get 5 or 10 into your karma pool. 1/10 of all karma goes into the karma pool. So if you get 10 good karma, you get 1 into your karma pool. So your characters would become better even without improving their skills at just everything, because they had a karma pool they could spend. It wasn't something I was hugely keen on, but it kind of works. Quick matrix skills, behind the scenes, how to change the lethality of the game, what shadowrunning is, contacts, which is a very big part of Shadowrun, you know, the people you go to. What's the word on the street, Jimmy? So you can have a contact as a bartender, a bounty hunter, a city official, a company man, corporate security guard, corporate secretary, dwarf technician, elven hitman, a fixer, a gang boss, a humanist polyclub member, a mechanic, a media producer, meta-human rights activist, Mr. Johnston, a squatter, a street cop, a street doc, talismonger, tribal chief, troll bouncer, yakuza boss. Now, sometimes your contacts can be quite amusing. In a 5th edition Shadowrun campaign I've been playing in, we had one character who had a contact who was a janitor at a corporation. And that was the only corporate contact anybody in the entire party had. So we would constantly be going to this janitor going, you know, what's happening within X corporation? You know, what's Renraku doing, Mr. Janitor? And because he was the only contract we had, somehow this janitor overheard every conversation that was to be had in the boardrooms of corporations and all that. A very useful janitor. And we're on to the critters section, different monsters and things. So they're different abilities, you know, petrifying gaze, psychokinesis, regeneration. And we should go on to the creatures soon. So we've got cockatrices, dragon forms, including eastern and western dragons, ghosts, elemental spirits, eye killers, We've got some lovely full colour plates, much like the first edition. In fact, I think they're pretty much the same. So Basilisk, Cockatrice, Feathered Serpent, Eastern Dragon, Western Dragon, the Eye Killer, a Griffin, Harpy, a Kraken, a Mero, a Naga, a Phoenix, a Sasquatch, a Unicorn, and a Wendigo. On back to the critters, so we've got ghouls, harpies, griffins, meros, flip on through them, vampires, wendigos, and then their stats and different abilities. And then we're on to gear. So you can go out, you can buy your guns, from light pistols through to heavy pistols up to miniguns. Firearm accessories, so you can strap things to your guns so they don't kick as much. You can get smart goggles which help you hit, explosives, body armor, security devices, the different lifestyle things, so you want a media player. Got cyberware there, through the different bodywear, dock wagon contracts, different types of vehicles. I always did like the look of the Yamaha Rapier. I thought that was a very good looking. And the Westwind 2000, which is apparently Eurocar, is Porsche. So that's actually a Porsche. Or Porsche. GMC Banshee, Eurofighter variant. Different types of drones before we really knew what drones were. Equipment tables. So the quick look for the effects of all of that. And then it details the modern northwest of America. Tiatangaya, Seattle, the different tribes, and then details Seattle itself. And then we've got the developers' notes, why they did it, and the sourcebook updates that I went through before, which detail how the rules have changed to all those sourcebooks. And we've got the character sheets, which were updated slightly. Still 10 boxes of condition for everyone. So it doesn't matter how tough you are, you can still only take 10 points of damage, you're just far better at resisting it. Where in modern versions of Shadowrun, the tougher you are, the more condition boxes you have. Character notes and equipment. And then we're on to the index. And at the back, we have a lovely full colour map of North America, separated into Tsimshian, Athabascan Council, Salish, Tiatangaya, Ute Nation, California Free State, Sioux Nation, Pueblo Corporate Council, United Canadian and American States, and the Confederated American States. Most of North America. And then we've got a couple of maps here showing Seattle and its surrounds, controlled by the Cascade Crow, Cascade Ork, Salish, the tier down south, and over here we've actually got the districts of Seattle itself, so Redmond, Everett, Snohomish, Renton, Bellevue, Auburn, Tacoma, Fort Lewis, and Puyallup, which I have probably pronounced so much wrong because I'm Scottish and we don't do pronunciation beyond our own country really well. Anyway, that is Shadowrun 2nd edition. It wasn't as good as the 1st edition. It kind of dropped the ball in places, and it was major rules. It didn't feel as nice because it's trying to crowbar so much into a new rulebook. But it's still Shadowrun, and it's still very, very good. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching, as always. Please like and subscribe if you like at all what I'm doing. It really helps me out with the Google algorithm, so it would be very much appreciated if you could do that. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.